Good evening and welcome to Left, Right and Centre. Our first question tonight, why did it take so long for the government to turn around on this critical issue of taking war crimes charges against Pakistan to the International Court of Justice? Captain Saurabh Kalia and 5 others were tortured and killed by Pakistani forces during the Kargil war in the summer of 1999. Since his death, his father has fought a long and lonely battle, urging Delhi to push for international sanction. Successive governments, including this one, have so far refused, fearing an internationalization on this critical issue, saying it would open a Pandora's box for bilateral conflicts between India and Pakistan. Today, the government has finally said it will seek advice from the Supreme Court on whether to pursue the matter in the International Court of Justice or not. Not quite the answer the Kalias hoped for, but better than a flat no. So what made the government change its mind this evening, and is it really going to do something now? Also on the show tonight, Mamata Banerjee's West Bengal's mercurial Chief Minister will accompany Prime Minister Narendra Modi to Dhaka this weekend. 3 years ago, she had abruptly walked out of a similar visit accompanying the then Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. Land boundary agreements, water sharing pacts and national security along the border all need the critical cooperation of West Bengal's government. Will Mamata keep her word this time? And if so, what's changed between India-Bangla ties to make her agree? Or is this just political expediency at home that's driving the decision? But first, on Captain Saurabh Kalia and indeed 5 others who were tortured and killed by Pakistani forces during the Kargil war. A flip, a flop and now a flip again by the government on the death of an Indian hero. The government has said it will take up, or it would like to take up rather, Saurabh Kalia's case in the International Court of Justice if the Supreme Court gives the government the go-ahead. The government had earlier said the centre cannot seek an international probe into Captain Kalia because moving the International Court of Justice against Pakistan over this issue is not practical. N.K. Kalia, the father of the martyred soldier, had moved the Supreme Court in 2012 demanding an international inquiry into the kind of torture inflicted upon Captain Kalia while in captivity during the Kargil war.
सौरभ कालिया को जिस तरह की यातनाएं दी गई वो एक अपवाद स्वरूप स्थिति निर्मित करती है, एक्सेप्शनल सर्कमस्टांस है। तो इसलिए हम सुप्रीम कोर्ट में अपना हलफनामा बदलें और ये कहें, सुप्रीम कोर्ट से पूछें कि इन प्रावधानों के रहते हुए भी क्या भारत इस तरह के अपवाद स्वरूप स्थितियों में इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस में जा सकता है, और यदि सुप्रीम कोर्ट हाँ करेगा तो हम अंतर्राष्ट्रीय कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस, इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस में इस मसले को ले जाएंगे।
Well, my colleague Shudhiranjan Sen joins us for more on this. Shudhiranjan, really, is it the pressure that the government has seen today that has made it change its mind over this issue of taking the Captain Kalia case to the International Court of Justice? Successive governments have stood their ground saying, no, that's not something they want to do.
Well, yes, it seems basically what it seems to us is that the government is trying to deflect political pressure. Mind you, the BJP, when it was in the opposition, had beaten the UPA government on the same issue, saying that the government is soft, it should take Pakistan to International Court of Justice, where the legal position is different. The legal position, in short, is very simple, that Commonwealth countries, and mind you, this proviso was introduced by India itself, that Commonwealth countries cannot go to the International Court of Justice, especially in the case of war crimes, unless and until both countries agree. That means you cannot go to the International Court of Justice unilaterally. In this case, it would mean Pakistan will have to agree to go to the International Court of Justice, go and face the International Court of Justice. And secondly, more important, on the 10th of August 1999, just after the Kargil war, India shot down a Pakistani surveillance plane over the run of Kutch. 16 people died in that. India at that point of time had claimed that it was an airspace violation, it was a hostile maneuver, which is why it was shot down. Pakistan then had wanted to take India to the International Court of Justice. It had said that everything was fine, India had violated the rules. But India then used this particular proviso, saying that, well, we don't agree to go to the International Court of Justice, therefore, Pakistan also could not. So these are the reasons why, even if the Supreme Court says, it will be difficult for the government to go to the International Court of Justice. Maya.
Right, Shudhiranjan, but it does beg the question, because the government is saying they're going to ask the Supreme Court, they this issue of the Commonwealth and taking a case up against Commonwealth countries aside, the International Court of Justice already has jurisdiction issues, whether or not there are Commonwealth countries involved. That's one. The second is, ultimately going to the International Court of Justice, pursuing this also depends on the will of the executive running the country.
Absolutely, and not only that, and there are other issues that people are, there are other concerns of the government, which have been, which is why successive governments have stayed away from the International Court of Justice, which is that once you accept the jurisdiction of the International Court of Justice, then your entire anti-terrorist operations, counter-insurgency operations that are happening in Jammu and Kashmir, which is hotly contested by Pakistan, is a fit case that Pakistan can again go to the International Court of Justice, and then you will be forced to face it. You will be forced into a very uncomfortable position. Not only Jammu and Kashmir, in Northeast also, the same thing can be thrown back at you. So keeping all these things in mind, successive governments have maintained that it's better to sort issues bilaterally than to go to an institution like the International Court of Justice. Maya.
Right, Sudhiranjan, thanks very much for joining us with all that information. Very critical about turn by the government today, given that in 2014, the Minister of State for External Affairs, V.K. Singh, had essentially stood up in reply to Parliament and to the MP Rajiv Chandrasekhar, said that it is not practical for India to pursue this at the International Court of Justice against Pakistan. We spoke a short while ago to Captain Saurabh Kalia's father, N.K. Kalia, at his residence in Palampur, to ask him why he thinks the government is changing its stand on this issue.
इसके बारे में मैं इतना कहना चाहूँगा, अगर सरकार ने कुछ कोई सॉलिड एक्शन लेने का सोचा है, तो ये एक अच्छी खबर है.
कैप्टन मिस्टर कालिया, आप काफी देर से ये लड़ाई लड़ रहे हैं सरकार के खिलाफ, पाकिस्तान के खिलाफ. आपको लगता है कि अब आपकी बात, आपकी आवाज इंटरनेशनल कोर्ट ऑफ जस्टिस तक जा पाएगी? आपको अपने बेटे के लिए और बाकी और जो फौजी थे जो इस तरह टॉर्चर किए गए थे पाकिस्तान से, उनको जस्टिस मिलेगी अभी?
जो है भारत सरकार ने इतने सालों में इतने मेरे साथ जो है इतने प्रॉमिस किए कि हम इस इशू को पाकिस्तान के साथ उठाएंगे, इस इशू को क्या अंतर्राष्ट्रीय स्तर के ऊपर उठाएंगे, मगर इतने सालों में हमें कभी नहीं लगा कि सरकार ने इसके ऊपर कोई सॉलिड एक्शन लिया है. जैसा आपने अभी ये समाचार दिया कि सरकार इसके बारे में कुछ करने की सोच रही है या कर रही है, तो ये एक सुखद समाचार है.
Ji, Mr. Kalia, thank you for talking to NDTV today. An important day, given that after reports of how nobody was listening to you and you were fighting this battle alone, the government has now decided to actually ask the Supreme Court, amend its affidavit in the court and seek a way to the International Court of Justice. I want to bring in our guests on this discussion. We have Sambit Patra joining us from the BJP office. We have Tom Badakan of the Congress joining us in the studio. We're hoping to get voices from Pakistan as well and from the Army and the MEA. But it is raining in Delhi. We're going to try and get you their lines as quickly as possible. Sambit, I want to first ask you, the sense is that we even got from Mr. N.K. Kalia that all these years, including the NDA government, successive governments have essentially said this is not an option. Going to the International Court of Justice is not an option. So has today the government essentially changed its mind because the media has gone on in this age of 24/7 television and social media and Twitter that the government is responding to that?
No, I do not think that the government changes mind in accordance to what the media shows, though media is a very important pillar of democracy. But I believe in this particular case of respected Captain Saurabh Kalia, the media had been a bit impatient since the government was to file the affidavit on August 25. I believe we should have waited till August 25 to know the exact position of government. The comprehensive position of the government would have been known only after the affidavit would have been submitted in the court. But before that, the way the Congress party tried to politicize the whole issue, in fact, by evening, the issue has now boomeranged to Congress. It has only exposed that for the 10 long years, Congress did not act in a way it should have acted. As far as the party stand is concerned, on 2 counts, the party stand is absolutely different from what the Congress stand was. Number one, the Congress in Supreme Court had maintained that this is an executive mandate and the Supreme Court cannot dictate the government, to which our government says that we are taking the advice of Supreme Court. This is a different stand. Secondly, the Congress had submitted certain clauses for which they felt that the case should not go to the International Court of Justice, as was pointed by your reporter. And to this, Sushma ji has added that since this is an exceptional case of brutality, so definitely the Supreme Court should throw some light on the legality, and if the Supreme Court feels that we are within our legal domain, we will surely go to the International Court of Justice.
Okay, all right, Mr. Vadakan, respond to that, because essentially there is an argument to be made about the Congress not having done anything, not having approached the Supreme Court or looking at legal options, essentially just saying no, it's not a possibility.
First, my heart goes out to the parents who have been struggling to be heard, and I congratulate the media, which has built up extensive pressure that before August 25th, where they had to answer in their affidavit, which Dr. Patra himself says to be answered, he blames the Congress for everything. This is not about Congress. This is about a son who's lost to their parents. This is not about Congress. This is not about BJP. This is the sentiments of the parents. Don't get the BJP and Congress into it. We are talking about life lost. We are talking about a soldier who has given his life for this country. We are not here to discuss whether BJP is a winner or Congress is a winner. You have answered it that you have asked the advisory of the Supreme Court. Accepted. Now, this is essentially in the area of an executive power, which is a Home Ministry reply, which is the Law Ministry's reply. This is not a Congress reply. This is the reply that was in the affidavit. Now, pray, if you have asked the Supreme Court permission, which you were given the time till 25th, you have moved faster and asked the Supreme Court whether you are within your rights. This could have been done. You see, it's very great to take this high position that we will go to Pakistan, bring out all those people, shoot them. This high stand that you have always taken during elections. This is the difference.
Okay.
When you are in power, you talk one language. All right. When you are out of power, you talk another language.
All right, Sambit Patra, you respond to Tom Barkan, but before you do that, I want to just read out to you. You're saying that you should have waited for the government to file its affidavit. But if I can just read out to you, MOS VK Singh's reply in Parliament last year. This was in July 31st, 2014. Under the new government, he says that the possibility of seeking legal remedies through the international courts was thoroughly examined but not found feasible. What has changed for the NDA? Forget what the UPA did or did not do. What has changed for the NDA between July 2014 and June 1st, 2015?
Two things. First, I would like to respond to my friend Mr. Tom Vadakkam. Mr. Tom says that we are trying to politicize the issue. No, Mr. Tom. When the whole issue came up, first people to come in front of the camera and started responding were Mr. Digvijay Singh, Mr. P.L. Punia, who in fact directly started attacking the Prime Minister of the country, saying that the Prime Minister did not have a patriotic intent. So please look into your own self before you say that we are politicizing the issue. Number two, as far as the technical detail of what the MOS answer was in the Parliament, in fact, the MOS had answered on 2 counts. Number one, that the previous government, the Bajpayee government then, had taken the matter to the international arena. Number one, to the New York United Nations session way back in 1999, and in 2000 to the Human Rights Commission. And thereafter, he goes on to say that, well, yes, I mean, the International Court of Justice It has been going on since long, the demand for the same, and it appears to be non-feasible as of now. But as I stated in my previous statement, that the comprehensive view of the government comes only through an affidavit. A similar affidavit was submitted by the previous government on 26th September 2013. August 25 was the date given for this government. So we should have waited for the comprehensive view of the government, which has been articulated well by none other than the MEA Minister, Ms. Sushma Swaraj.
Okay, fine. Let's just bring in the voice of diplomacy into this as well. Vivek Karchu joins us, former diplomat and ambassador. Mr. Karchu, there's a lot of sort of wool that is around any international legal procedure that you have to sort of wade through and clear up. Now, the issue of jurisdiction is one. Previous governments have, for reasons that they saw best, not pursued this at the International Court of Justice. We have a government in power that has taken a stand last year and is looking at other options this year, reversing that earlier stand. Are we not fair in calling this a flip-flop? Are we not fair? Are we not being honest in saying this is a reaction to public pressure today?
I've come in late on the show because of the weather, so you'll have to bear with me, and please give me 2 minutes to give you a full answer. My answer will be based on my assessment of the facts as they stand. What happened to our soldiers was terrible, and there is no doubt about it. The nation is outraged and has been outraged for the last 16 years. That is a fact, and it cannot be diluted. However, in my experience and my assessment, there is no remedy which lies in either international law or domestic law of Pakistan, whatever our politicians may say. The reason for that is simple. In 1999, the Indian Air Force had shot down a Pakistani aircraft called the Atlantic, a naval aircraft which had come into Indian airspace. At that stage, the Pakistanis took India to the International Court of Justice. In the International Court of Justice, and they took us because 16 Pakistani airmen had died in this shooting incident. And India was fully justified in doing that. However, when the Pakistanis took us to the International Court of Justice, we said that the International Court of Justice does not have jurisdiction in this matter because the Indian stand has been that the ICJ cannot entertain any matter in which a Commonwealth country or a former Commonwealth country has been involved. So that gate is closed, and that stand which we had taken historically and which was reinforced in 1974 is the right stand. Otherwise, we will be opening a Pandora's box. There isn't time here on this show to go into details, but on that I am personally convinced with my little experience of dealing with Pakistan. Therefore, I say there is no legal remedy either in international law or in domestic law of Pakistan, because the Pakistanis will never activate their domestic law. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Mr. Karchu. Yeah.
Now, which brings me to this point, that if our political class is serious about such cases when they involve Pakistan, then we have to devise as a nation a strategy on how to deal with that country, a country which commits such barbarism.
Right. And also, as
that
you pointed
out,
out,
the crucial issue, and we have options. We have options. We haven't explored them.
Okay, a strategy that's going to
we cannot trade charges between the Congress and the BJP. That as a country and as a nation gets us nowhere simply.
Right. Okay. So the fact is, as you pointed out, going to the International Court of Justice, quite apart from this particular case, opens up or has the possibility of opening up a Pandora's box as far as India and Pakistan are concerned. Fawad Chaudhry joining us on the phone line
the
from...
International Court of Justice does not have jurisdiction.
Does not have jurisdiction
with Pakistan.
Right. So, Fawad Chaudhry, come in on this, because today the government in Delhi has said it's going to look at some kind of legal recourse to see if Pakistan can be pursued in the ICJ on the killing, on the torture of Indian soldiers during Kargil.
this BJP government is obsessed with Pakistan, and since the day Mr. Narendra Modi has taken over as Prime Minister of India, the BJP has tried to manipulate their own politics in the name of Pakistan. In Pakistan, anti-Indianism is not selling. So obviously in Pakistan, the political parties are not even keen to take up these issues. And even if you see Mr. Nawaz Sharif, even in his public speeches before becoming the Prime Minister of Pakistan, was so categorical in terms that Indian relations has to be improved. But unfortunately, BJP is obsessed with Pakistan, and they come up with every time they come up with something silly to exploit. And this story again is a lie. I mean, how can a Pakistan army can do such things? There is Pakistan army and Indian army both adhere to the certain principles of international standards. Both armies are the kind of institutions.
Okay, Mr. Chaudhary, I think the BJP wants to respond to you. Sambit Patra, go ahead.
I want to come in for 1 second on this.
Just a second, sir.
Just a second,
sir. The Pakistani person, in fact, has attacked the Bharatiya Janata Party government, saying that for silly reasons, we have been quite fishy about Pakistan. It is absolutely appalling to hear that we have to listen to Pakistani spokespersons. Pakistan is a terror-sponsoring state, and this is known. This is a fact which is known to almost everyone in this world today. And you are preaching us, the ones who are responsible for killing throughout the world are the ones who are preaching us. Sir, first look into your own home. Because of your homegrown terrorism, you are seeing the death of your own children there in Peshawar. You should mend your ways, otherwise you would be branded as one of the most dreadest terrorist state of this world.
The fact is, much of the torture that Saurabh Kalia and his colleagues went through at the hands of Pakistani soldiers also came to light because it was a Pakistani soldier who gave a testimony on video detailing the kind of torture. I don't want to detail it here for the sake of...
Pakistan Army has already rejected the allegation. Pakistan Army has nothing to do with that.
Do you think the Pakistani army would accept the allegation?
Okay, all right.
It is but natural that the Pakistani army...
Okay, Mr. Chaudhary.
The country will not accept the allegation, and that is the
Fawaz
reason why we
Chaudhary
should
and
show you
Sambit
the
Patra,
path.
we'll get back to you. Vivek Karchu, very quick point. We have General Shankar Prasad also with us who wants to come in on this. Go ahead, Mr.
Pakistan Army has a record of doing such things. What did they do in Bangladesh in 1971? That's on record. The Bangladeshis know it, the international community knows it. It's a rogue army. That is the harsh fact. Whatever our Pakistani friends may say. And as far as trading charges is concerned, Nawaz Sharif only a few days ago has blamed RAW for all kinds of things in Pakistan in a most fanciful manner. I mean, I don't know what the Pakistani commentators want to say on this.
We are digressing from the topic at hand, which is about going to the International Court of Justice. Is there any avenue? General Shankar Prasad, come in on this because, this very easily is an issue about how the Pakistan army has behaved in the past and the kind of violations the Indian army and the Indian forces have suffered as a result of this, whether it's decapitation, torture, mutilation, what have you. As an army man, what do you think India should do? What is the legal recourse when there is such a blatant violation of Geneva Conventions?
You see, the first point I wish to make is this, that the entire nation is, along with Saurabh Kalia, his body has been mutilated. Not only his family, not only the military, but the entire nation is emotionally charged with this matter. We've also had people being beheaded on the line of control. We also have today Pakistani flags being flown in Kashmir Valley. We've had encounters every single day in the last 15 days. The question is not about legal recourse. The legal recourse has been adequately covered in your program just in the last 20 minutes. I do not wish to repeat it. Mr. Karchu has already spoken about it. The fact is this, that we have to evolve a strategy to deal with this. How long are we going to take this from Pakistan's rogue army? They are doing this to the soldier every single day, and we are taking no action about it. As an army, I feel that we are a strong country, we are a strong army, we've got a way to do it, and if the government wants to give us a task, we will be able to do it. I'm not suggesting for one moment that we go to war with Pakistan, but there are many options. The first is that we need to have a consistent foreign policy with Pakistan.
Yeah.
We need to evolve a strategy against Pakistan to prevent them from doing such things.
Okay.
The question of today going to the Supreme Court and hoping for an answer, I
right.
suspect the answer is already available.
All right,
it is only
Prasad.
trying to divert it away from the media.